Like no matter what career you're in, you grow into knowing who you are, what you're good at, what you're not good at, and being okay with that. As a singer, why I'm never going to sing a Whitney Houston song. Yeah. No one wants to hear that.
I mean, I might do it, but probably just in the shower.
I won't even do it. So yeah, sure. Yeah. As long as none of my kids are home. Yeah. So I think that's an important piece, like not trying to be someone else or think that you need to live up to someone else. And actually singing covers can be a little hard on a singer in that regard, because when you're singing your originals, like every song I wrote was just perfectly in my key. Yep. I wrote it to sound the best to my voice. Yep. And no problem, you know, like Chrissy Hind and like all these women that sing their own songs, you would never say, well, how come she can't sing, you know, a Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Why is that the first singer I thought of? It's because of my daughter. I'm sorry.
I know.
I think once I stopped apologizing for having a low voice, you know.
I do.
So yeah, I mean, and I just put myself in a position where hopefully I'm not singing songs out of my range.
Welcome to the Vocal Lab. I'm Sarah Ramsey, and this show aims to pull back the curtain on the entertainment industry, where veterans give up-and-coming artists some of the information they wish they'd had when they were just starting out. Sort of a music industry primer, if you will. Welcome to the Vocal Lab. I am thrilled today to have with me Sarah Johns, who is one of my oldest and dearest friends. Sarah has been boisterously fronting. I love this bio so much. I can't even tell you. It is the perfect word for what you do. Sarah has been boisterously fronting and singing with Vancouver's iconic cover band, Dr. Strangelove, for over 3 decades. Over those same years, she's played some fiery animated characters, voiced countless commercials, and sung on many jingles, including the overplayed, come on now, all together, Capital Direct.
.ca.
There it is. She recently returned to on-camera acting and is fresh off the set of Tracker, where she played her first FBI agent. A career highlight for Sarah has been having the opportunity to sing background vocals for some of her favorite artists growing up, including Bill Henderson from Chilliwack, Darby Mills from Headpins, and Mike Reno from Loverboy. With no slowing down in sight, Sarah and Dr. Strangelove are booked through December already. Not bad. Yeah. Thanks for being here today, Sarah.
Well, thanks for having me, Sarah. Sarah Jr.
Yes, that is a long-standing joke. But see, I feel like now we are of the age where I don't want to call you senior anymore. No,
now it's too close to home.
Like when we were younger, that was funny. But but yes, we go back a long. We were just figuring this out. We go back a long way, and it's more than 3 decades.
Yes,
and we met because my mom was your voice teacher.
She was.
Yeah,
and little wee Sarah used to come home from school in her Catholic schoolgirl outfit while I was having voice lessons.
Yeah.
Just a babe.
Yes. And then I was, I don't know, magically, I was watching you play in a bar when I definitely was not yet quite of legal age to be in a bar.
No. Probably with your mom.
Probably with my mom.
Yeah. To the Roxy.
Yeah.
Those were some good times.
Those were some good times and some good fake IDs.
Yeah. With your mom on stage.
Yes.
Singing. Yeah. With us.
Yeah. So tell us your story a little bit for listeners who might be meeting you for the first time today. A little bit about, you know, your journey in the biz, how you got where you are today.
Oh, my.
Yes.
Well, I always wanted to sing from a toddler. There was a brief time late elementary school where I wanted to be a lawyer, but then Yeah.
I wanted to be a figure skater or a gymnast or a singer. One of the three.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine was law.
Okay.
But a lot of years of schooling. So I stuck with the singing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just kind of sung in choirs and then was in a 4-H band when I was 13, 14. Got my first professional job playing guitar and singing in a restaurant in Abbotsford or something on Sundays for $25 and a free meal. And then graduated. And I think I pretty much joined a band, touring through Alberta, Saskatchewan in the middle of winter band.
Great.
So fun. So fun. And then I started losing my voice a lot because I don't practice very good techniques, Sarah, as you might know, and singing songs way out of my range. And
we'll talk about that in a minute. This is a common thread for you and I.
Yes. So I went back to college and studied music at Cap College for 2 years with the plan of becoming a music teacher.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's when Cap still had a commercial music program before it was a jazz program.
Yes, but I was in the other, you couldn't get your degree in the jazz or commercial program.
Yeah.
So I had to take the bachelor program, which was classical. So I took classical voice lessons, and she helped me at least sing with good enough technique that I wouldn't lose my voice all the time. So she kind of patched me up. And then instead of switching from Cap to UBC to finish my degree, I put a band together and quit school and put a dance band together called Escapade.
Yes.
And we played Richards on Richards and the Soft Rock Cafe and all those little beauties. But I got the genius idea that I should sing in a band with another girl who can hit all the high notes. So Laura Bacon, fantastic singer.
Yeah.
We put this band together and with some boys from my college program, actually, and did that for about a year. And then the manager and owner of the Roxy, with a guy at the time, Chris Trigg, who was fronting a band there, a house band. They decided if he could get 2 girls that they approved of to join the band, that they would get the full-time position at the Roxy. Yeah. Because they were just filling in. And so they came to see Tanya Hantroff and I. Yeah. I'm name dropping.
Yeah. Go to it.
Tanya Hantroff and I.
Who I am hoping to get on the show at some point.
Oh, please.
Miss Tanya.
Yeah. One of the best singers in the universe. So they came to see us at Richards on Richards, and they said, if you can get these 2 to quit this band and join the band at the Roxy, we'll give you the full-time thing. So we did, and they did, and we played there for 14 years, 4 nights a week. Of course, Tanya didn't. Tanya got so busy with jingle work and moved to Nashville shortly after that. So we held auditions, and Miss Kelly Brock joined the band with some Saffron Henderson in between there. And yourself and
I've been the occasional Dr. Strangelovette.
Yes. And Catherine St. Germain and so Kelly Brock joined, and her and I are still.
And it's been the 2 of you for a lot of years now.
Riding in this rodeo. So Kelly and I, 28, I think, maybe 28 years. Yeah. Or maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, like probably 30. Because I think it's been 32 years of Dr. Strangelove.
Wow.
I know. It doesn't seem right that I'm 32 years old.
It doesn't seem
yet
right.
I've been in a band that whole time.
You were a baby singer in a nightclub.
Right? It was so
weird.
Avant-garde. Yeah. So that's kind of, that's how I got to where, that's, I guess, the timeline of my cover band musical career. There were some dalliances into songwriting in between here and there. And that was fun, and hopes of being an original artist that didn't, I decided to make a living instead.
Yeah.
And
which,
so
I mean, let's just validate that for a second, because so I think that there's a balance to be struck. Pursuing the art of songwriting and being an original artist, it is a valiant pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
And so in no way do I want to dissuade people from pursuing that, because,
no.
Right? And I spent you and I did some writing together at one point. And, I spent lots of time songwriting, whatever, as well over my years. And I think that it is also a really valid choice to look at your career and what is and isn't moving the needle for you, and make the choice to fully invest in yourself in the areas that are moving the needle.
Yes.
And if that so happens to be in a cover band or in a corporate, band, or an area like that isn't original music, I don't think that I think in the industry, sometimes it gets looked down upon, and I don't think that is right. I think that there's huge validity to choosing to, you have supported yourself and been, one of two supporters of your family, you and your husband together, through the arts. You haven't worked another job outside of music and acting.
No.
Your whole adult life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So choosing to go where the money was to support your family was a great choice.
Yeah. I feel good about it.
Yeah.
I don't look back and have any regrets, really.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it was kind of the easy route in a way. I mean, trying to climb your way up there were some fantastic female artists at the time, in Vancouver, even doing well, but I don't even know that they were making a living, and they had great records and, so much touring and so much, I
have to say, I came into my adulthood really thinking I want to be a star. I want to be a pop singer, original artist.
Yeah.
I want to be a star.
Yeah.
That was what I thought I wanted to do.
Yeah. Same.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we both know enough people who have actually lived that life.
Yes.
I look at it from where I sit in my life now, having children who are now adults themselves, but having gone through raising children and doing all of that. And I look back on it in hindsight, and I have zero regrets about that not having come to fruition for me.
Yes.
I do not regret that I didn't live out maybe I regret that I didn't have the money that might have come with that kind of a life, but I don't regret that loss of privacy, all the touring, all the being away from home, all those big responsibilities, because I wouldn't have been able to raise the family that I did if I had had that life.
Yes.
And I mean, you can only say it in hindsight. I don't know that you can say that from the other perspective.
Yeah.
But for me, I have no regrets about that at all.
Same. And lamenting and I mean, I try anyway to live in the moment, which is not 20 years, the choices I made 25 years ago. I mean, happiness is happiness.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
And do I still love, getting to the gigs?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So I always said, I don't know that I thought I would still be doing it, playing particularly with Dr. Strangelove. In fact, when I started at the Roxy, I was going to do it for a year until my acting career took off.
Yeah.
So, And then I don't know when it just became a thing that I would do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But I love it still.
Yeah.
You know, Kelly and I, my Lord, you know, how many times have we sung Dancing Queen together, you know, but we still have a great time on stage. And she's such a great singer.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to sing with her. And of course, we have 3 lead singer boys in the band who are fantastic. So it's a really kind of a low pressure vocal gig.
Yeah.
Because we've all got each other. There's parts being sung, and if you're not feeling well, it's
you can
no
just
problem.
do less.
Yeah. So
I know when Saffron and I started the ticket, I mean, it was very much like sort of modeled off of a Dr. Strangelove model, right? 2 girls up front and the boys in the band behind.
Yeah.
But same thing. Everybody in our band sang except our bass player. Our drummer sang. The keys, guitar, everybody sang. And so it was the same thing where, you know, great. If you've got all your chops on for that night, awesome. Yeah. And if you show up and you've got no voice,
that doesn't
it's still okay. Actually, you're still going to like get through the night because everybody's there and can like show up for everybody else. And it's good for the audience too.
Yeah. They get to hear I mean, we basically can do anything because of all the different, the variety of singing voices that we have. Yeah.
I miss that kind of a musical experience a lot. Like as you know, we haven't played since before the pandemic when we sort of let it go at that point, but I miss that, not only that musical experience, but also when you're playing with players of that caliber, which your band, 100%, everybody's at like the absolute top of their game.
Yeah, amazing.
Killer players. And you know, in fact, along the way, we have played with some of the same, we've shared players along the way. And I have never felt so safe on stage. Like, if I screwed something up, nobody was ever going to let me fall on my face, you know?
Yeah.
That there was just so much like musical safety that, I don't know how to describe that feeling any differently. It's just...
Well, you just get to play.
Yeah.
Like you go to work and get to play, right?
There's no
anxiousness.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel so lucky every time I get to go and do a gig, you know? It's amazing.
I don't miss wearing heels that much, though.
Yeah, we mostly have stopped doing that to ourselves. The odd gala or some kind of very, fancy evening, we might start the night in heels, and then when no one's caring anymore, we'll switch into our combat boots or, you know.
I've lately invested in a lot of sparkly sneakers.
Yeah. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Like these young girls nowadays are not having it.
Yeah.
If you go see a grad, when my son graduated, I couldn't believe how many girls were wearing Converse.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
You know, they also don't wear skin tight jeans that they have to do up with a clothing hanger, wire clothing hanger. Not that I did that every day in high school. Right?
You have to lie down on the bed.
Then you take them off and you can still see the jeans on your skin.
Yeah.
They just are not having it. And I'm proud of those girls.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So here on the Vocal Lab, we aim to shine a light into the industry through the lens of what I know now that I wish I'd known then. So with that in mind, if you were starting your career all over again, is there anything you would do differently?
Funny, I feel like that question for me hits, I have more feelings about it in regards to acting.
Go for it.
But you know, it's similar. It's about owning it, right?
Yeah.
Owning it and being confident.
Yeah.
And not second guessing yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel that way now. I quit acting for 12 years when Hank, my son, was diagnosed with autism, and I just felt like I had to take something out of my mini pies I had my fingers in. And when I went back, I'm having so much fun because just not letting things hurt you personally.
Yeah.
I think. And I think as women, we grow into that. Like no matter what career you're in, you grow into knowing who you are, what you're good at, what you're not good at, and being okay with that. As a singer, why I'm never going to sing a Whitney Houston song. Yeah. No one wants to hear that.
I mean, I might do it, but probably just in the shower.
I won't even do it. So yeah, sure. Yeah. As long as none of my kids are home. So I think that's an important piece. Like not trying to be someone else or think that you need to live up to someone else. And actually singing covers can be a little hard on a singer in that regard because when you're singing your originals, like every song I wrote was just perfectly in my key. Yep. I wrote it to sound the best to my voice and no problem, like Chrissy Hind and like all these women that sing their own songs. You would never say, well, how come she can't sing, a Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Why is that the first singer I thought of? It's because of my daughter. I'm sorry.
I know.
So I think once I stopped apologizing for having a low voice,
I do.
So yeah, I mean, and I just put myself in a position where hopefully I'm not singing songs out of my range. Yeah. I probably still do occasionally, just if it's a song that I really love. And you can't lower, you can only lower songs so drastically.
I don't know. I used to do Call Me Maybe, which in and of itself was hilarious because it's, Josh was part of the
co-writer,
team, right?
Yeah.
I used to do Call Me Maybe, but I did it like a fourth or a fifth lower than Carly.
Yeah.
So it was so much lower than it was absolutely ridiculous. But I just did it anyway because unless I'm singing a song that is a male lead, I can almost never do anything in the original key.
Oh, me too.
So I transpose everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're tuned down a semitone in our band too. Yeah. Just to give you that little break.
Bass player, the dear departed Scott Tucker, used to refer to it as key fuckery because he played in our band, but he also played in Famous Players and he also played in Side One and he played in all these bands, but we were the only band that tuned down.
Were you?
Of them. Yeah.
Well, aren't they all just
Side One and Famous Players didn't.
Yeah.
And so we would start, and what key is this tune in? Well, it's in C. Well, is that C Under My Hands or is it concert C?
Oh, so he wouldn't tune down.
He didn't tune down.
He was so great. He would just play
in
weird, awkward keys. Yeah.
I guess depending on what it was, he might have tuned down his low E string if he had to. Maybe.
Right. Yeah.
If he had to get a low E flat.
Yeah.
But not gonna lie.
Some
once
people
in
don't
a while,
love it. Yeah.
And particularly when we would play Uptown Funk for some reason, we could never figure out what key that was because I didn't do it in Bruno Mars's key. I did it in my key.
Right.
And then we were also tuned down. So it was I'm not doing it in whatever E flat, I'm doing it in C, but is that C concert or is that C Under My Hands? And there was one time when we started the tune and our band was playing it in two different keys.
Yes, that's happened.
Yeah.
Actually,
for a whole verse.
Kirsten Nash came and played with us at the Roxy for a night once, and we neglected to tell her that we were drop tuned. Mm-hmm. She plays the saxophone.
Oh, no.
It was not her favorite night.
Probably not.
Yeah.
No.
But yes, we've had, oh gosh, with subs. And if we forget to tell. But as a band, we just refer to it as our C, our E.
Yeah.
That's how we differentiate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've talked about not doing it anymore. But
honestly, though, as a vocalist, particularly as a vocalist who sings everything so low, that semitone will make a difference for whether I can make it through 2 nights in a row or not. Yeah. Actually.
Yeah. If you're singing songs that you're already at the top of your range, a semitone can be a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It really can.
Yeah.
Okay. So with the same perspective, looking back over your career, is there anything that you would specifically do the same all over again?
I guess the people who have played in Dr. Strangelove, I'm happy. Like,
you've had some really
such
great
good people. And of course, Tucker, rest in peace, and our dear Andre Kunkel, 30 years with him, right?
Yeah.
Or more, a little more probably. So I don't regret, there were times that the Roxy suggested, to Kelly and I to get a bunch of young, hot guys. And, so I don't regret being loyal to our family, of band members, right? Dr. Strangelove, is not about hot guys. Like we're about fun and, so I don't, I feel pretty happy about a lot of the choices that I made. I feel happy, like when I quit acting when I did, I don't regret that. That worked for my life, and I've just always tried a little bit to run my career in a way that if I'm not enjoying something or if it's interfering with the quality of my real life, which is my family, then I would make a change, or if something's hurting my feelings, then I won't do that anymore either. Like the voiceover industry for me, I worked a lot through my, particularly in my 30s, 40s. And I don't know what happened, the pandemic, the lot of jobs are non-union now after, but a little bit feel like I'm retired as a voiceover artist. Like I work, a couple of times a year now, so I don't count on it at all. But I don't pursue it anymore. I used to pursue it, but now pursuing it feels wrong. It's kind of like I've been doing this for a few decades. Pursuing it hurts my feelings. You know what I mean? So like
I think that's actually something that we don't really talk about enough in the arts. And that is that it's actually okay to change your mind or to change your relationship with different parts of what you do.
You don't have to, because you decided you were going to try to do something, doesn't mean you have to keep trying to do that for the rest of your life. You can go, this isn't going to be a groove that I sit in, or it's become a competition that I don't want to be part of, or you have to take care of yourself and your self-esteem and your little heart.
Your heart.
Right? Yeah. So
and as creative people, I think that when you are committed to living a life where you embody your creativity and you work in creative pursuits, closing the door on or changing your mind about one creative pursuit, you're never going to be without other options. Mm-hmm. There are always other creative avenues that you can pursue that feel better at a different time in your life.
Yeah.
If this one doesn't feel good anymore, so I'm going to try this one instead.
Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just you know, actually following your heart where at different times of your life, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So you and I definitely have a similar challenge. We've alluded to this, but in an industry that seems to want all the ladies to sing higher, louder, beltier, bigger, we can do the louder, beltier, bigger and lower.
Yes.
Not higher.
Yeah. There's never a song that's too low.
No.
Yeah.
No.
When we learn a new song, you know, Richard, Sarah, our keyboard player, be like, is that going to be too low for you? I'm like, no, it's not.
Because I got friends in low places.
Yes.
So let's talk about how that's actually played out in your career. My guess is that because it was definitely some of the experience that I had where I didn't fit into other people's boxes. So I had to create my own opportunities more of the time. So things like you created your own bands.
Yeah.
Instead of fitting into somebody else's, right?
Yeah. Yes. Instead of showing up at an audition for a band that wanted me to do a Headpins tune, for example.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I tried to be the only female vocalist in the front of a band, it was never an awesome fit because I mostly couldn't sing the female tunes. Mm-hmm. I was singing all male repertoire. Mm-hmm. Because
which is fine. But yeah, like the if you're in a cover band, I mean, the audience just wants some of those songs, right? The high lady, the high lady bits.
None of my lady bits are all that high anymore.
Looking good to me. And I mean, the only band that I was in where I was the only singer, I ruined my voice. Like I did permanent damage to my voice singing songs just way out of my range. And I could somehow do it just because I was so young that your vocal cords are quite resilient, you know, but
the first band I was ever in, I was in high school and it was a couple of guys who wanted to do all Led Zeppelin and The Cult. Mm-hmm. So I was singing all Led Zeppelin and The Cult. Dear listeners, yes, that may be male vocalist.
In the original key, even.
100%.
Dare I say. Yeah, I did The Cult too. Yeah.
I was singing Communication Breakdown way up in a voice that I didn't find again for 30 years afterwards. And then I was like, oh, I do have that actual mixed belt up there, but I wasn't doing it that way in high school. I was just blowing out my voice, pushing my chest voice that high, and it was awful. Yeah. Creating our own opportunities because of low voices has definitely been, I mean, I think everybody creates their own opportunities, but I think it's different for women who don't sing in a typical female range.
It is. And there are opportunities that you just don't get to have.
Yeah.
Like, I was interested in doing some musical theater, find a female part that's written.
No roles are written.
So are they going to transpose everything and change So there are
some limitations.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
there really are.
Now, the low voice has been helpful in my voice career.
Yes.
Yeah, I did some roles where I got the job because my voice could be down in the basement, right?
Yeah.
So It's funny, actually. I've had a bit of time off, so my voice is sounding quite high and
quite
fresh
feminine
right now. Yes. Often I'm more down here. Depending.
Well, and I grew up doing radio. I haven't done a whole lot of voiceover work as an adult, but I grew up doing voiceover work on radio because I sounded like this as a kid. I sounded like I smoked a pack a day and drank a Fifth of Jack.
Yeah.
So having that low, raspy voice has done me well in some stead.
In certain ways, yeah.
And in choir, I've sung tenor a lot, but less so the soprano parts.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, there have been times where I've been hired as a sub for somebody. There was a gig there, the band, it was just a neighborhood pub band, and their singer was in an accident. And so they needed a last minute sub. And somehow the call got to me and I was able to do it. So I went and did it, but she sang all her songs in a normal lady range.
Yeah.
And I do not sing in a normal lady range. So I sang the whole, and their band didn't have the musical chops to transpose anything on the fly.
Right. And they probably weren't tuned down a semitone.
No, not at all. And,
so did you just,
and as it was, we were trying to call tunes that we knew in common to start with, right?
Yes.
And so I ended up singing like a whole night in my head voice.
Yeah.
For a pub full of people. It wasn't a good fit. Let's just say it was.
But I'm sure they were happy to have you.
They were lovely. And then I called Kobe to go sub in for them the next night.
Right. Yes.
Because sometimes it just, you can't do the gig. It just
puts you in an uncomfortable position. Yeah. I mean, I so just enjoy being with my own band family. I don't get around much other than my own band. And that's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
Right? We work just the right amount.
Yeah.
Just enough days where I'm not burnt out.
Yeah.
And because I'm still parenting.
Yes. And you are versatile in that you sing leads and backups. And
yes.
Not everybody has both of those skill sets, and they are different skill sets.
They are.
Yes, they are.
It's funny, isn't it? You just kind of presume that every singer can sing background vocals, but it's not necessarily. Well, I grew up with a sister that rode horses and would have nothing to do with my musical endeavors. So I used to have a cassette player and I would record myself and then record myself singing
with
harmonies.
Yourself. Yeah.
And then I sang in choir. Like if you sing in choir, you can sing parts. I was always alto. Yeah. Of course. And I love singing harmonies. And again, whenever I sing background vocals, like for those artists that you mentioned, and there's always at least one other lady there that's singing the high parts, you know, so I've got I get to stay within my range. And of course, when you're singing background vocals and you have to use your head voice, it's okay.
It is okay.
So it might not be the sound that I would want if someone was listening to me soloed, but it's okay
Well, it's funny because as a backup singer, I have worked in both ranges. Like I have subbed in bands and worked in bands where I was only a backup singer, and I have been hired as the low singer and I've been hired as the high singer. And in that context, like you say, I can do both because my sound doesn't have to be a lead vocalist sound.
Yes.
So it's not that I don't have any range up there, just like you.
Yeah.
It's that I don't have a lead vocalist sound in that range.
Yes. Yeah.
But when you have a low voice like that, what is interesting is that you automatically develop an ear for inner harmony. People who sing soprano don't always develop an ear for inner harmony.
Right.
They hear the third above the lead.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm generalizing.
Yeah.
And that lots of people develop more complex ears than that. But if that's the easiest harmony to hear.
They sang the lead, they sang the melody through high school choir.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas we had to sing all those inner suspensions and the crunchy notes, which are actually, I think, way more fun to sing anyway.
Yes.
But they're harder to hear.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think in that sense, we had the advantage of like having to learn differently.
Sure. Yeah.
You also front Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah.
Which again.
Boisterously.
Love it.
I was like, how do I describe my fronting style?
And if you've ever seen Sarah with Dr. Strangelove, you will know that she could not have picked a better word. It's exactly what you do. But fronting is its own skill. I hate fronting. Actually, like I love singing lead.
Yeah.
But that is not the same thing as fronting a band.
No.
When Saf and I had the ticket, she did all the fronting. Unless she subbed out, then like I'm capable of it, but I don't enjoy it at all. And I'm not comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
You're great at it.
Thank you.
And it's a specific skill.
Yes. And it brings me joy. It brings me joy. Yeah, I mean, I guess, it's the ham. It's the ham part of me. And yeah, I really enjoy it. To me, it's such an important part of what we do is just connecting with the audience, which you can't do by only playing songs. Right. And of course, we play so many songs as a band that we take requests and, so it's always automatically a little interactive often and, banter amongst the band. Of course, Andre Kunkel was king of his Milton Berle style of fronting that we all loved.
So for those who don't know, Andre was the bass player in Dr. Strangelove for 30 years-ish, but he passed away 2 years ago?
A year and a half.
Year and a half ago?
Yeah, December of 2022.
Yeah. And he was an integral part of that band. He sang, he played bass, but he also could play keys and
he's just so talented.
Super talented.
Speaking of singing harmonies, he could just pick. I mean, he was just brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. So I certainly miss him in every way.
Yeah.
But he was a little bit of a Sonny to my share, if I may compare myself to someone so great. But and I'm, maybe there's even a part of me that feels maybe I've honed that skill more than I would have if I could sing like Mariah Carey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I maybe realized, knowing my vocal limitations, that I needed to make myself more valuable as a performer, because I certainly didn't start out as a great front person. So
how do you, so we're talking primarily here to like emerging artists.
Right.
Age not being the distinguishing factor, but people who are at the experience-wise younger part of their career.
Right.
So because fronting, if you are going to be an artist of any caliber, fronting is actually a really important skill. What would you recommend to somebody for developing that skill?
First of all, just pay attention when you see a band. When you go to these big concerts and they literally have it scripted and they say the same thing and they just insert name of city.
Yeah.
that's how some people choose to do it.
Yeah.
So you can have your, your script, like before this song, you're going to say, well, here's a jaunty little number by Van Morrison or whatever. But I mean, personally, I enjoy when I go to a concert. The most recent concert I went to that I was really struck by his excellent fronting was Coldplay.
Yeah.
And Chris Martin, nothing scripted. Mm-hmm. And he literally was, he could have been, I mean, of course, he was speaking to thousands of people, but it also could have been 100.
Yeah.
And he connected with people, literally brought people up on stage but chatted about himself, kind of made fun of himself a couple times, which was just so relatable and just confident and real and he just made you feel so happy to be there. Yeah. And he made you feel that he was grateful that you were there, which is a thing.
It is.
Like for someone to come out, like particularly people playing in an original project, to get people to leave their house and come and see you play on a cold, rainy night when it's past their bedtime. You make sure you're grateful and express that to them, I think, and I think not taking yourself too seriously is really important. It puts people at ease. Yeah. And so, I think just paying attention how people that you really enjoy maybe interact with the audience. But I think really it's just kind of being yourself and letting them see a little window into who you are aside from the singer-songwriter. And especially if you're a songwriter, you're already bearing your soul in your songs. Yes. So why not, also, but it's not everybody's personality to be wacky and do all that. So that's not.
Be true to you.
Be true to you. But gee, Chris Martin, that was the best fronting I've seen in a long time. It was so, it was great.
Thanks for joining us today. So that was actually just part one of our interview. And I would love it if you come back on Thursday to check out the second part of our interview. There's so much more juicy goodness. I can't wait for you to check it out.